I made a commitment to myself to train 3 times a week, no matter what. And at this time I became obsessed with learning the one-arm chin. So I pretty much dropped all my other calisthenics goals and I just focused on the one-arm chin only. And because I dropped all the other goals, I actually got it pretty quickly, within about 2 months of training it 3 times a week. And when I achieved that skill, it was possibly one of the most satisfying things I've done in my calisthenics career, possibly in my entire life. Just because there's something so special about having a goal in mind, working towards it, and then achieving that goal. It leaves you such a long-lasting satisfaction and sense of pride that is just always with you. Even to this day, I'm still proud of myself for putting the time in and all the work and getting what I wanted. And I continued this kind of training for a couple of years. So I was working full-time as a doctor. I was training roughly 3 times a week, on and off, sometimes more, sometimes less. I learned a few other skills. I was kind of getting a front lever. I was learning handstands were getting a bit better, just general body awareness, and I made some progress, but it wasn't the most. So after I finished working for 2 years on the coast down in Cornwall, I moved back to London, and this is when my calisthenics just exploded and my progress just went on an exponential curve. I put that solely down to being back in London and surrounded by a calisthenics community for the first time in my life. And I think this is a huge take-home message. If you want to improve in calisthenics or anything, you need to find a group of like-minded people who can push you, motivate you, people that can show you what's physically possible for the human body. And I would say I made more progress in that 6 months of being back in London in the calisthenics community than I did for the entire 2 years previous to that. And at that point, training became my life. I started training every day. So because I had a little bit more time, I was working casually, I was able to train every day. And even if I wasn't training every day, I would set the intention of training every day. And it wasn't just calisthenics, I was doing calisthenics, I was doing a bit of bouldering, I was doing a bit of parkour as well. I was doing a bit of everything, but as long as I was moving my body every day, I was happy. Training completely became my life, but there's still something really important to me that I had to do, something that I had to have been planning to do for 2 years. I'd been saving up money, and that was this big backpacking trip to Southeast Asia. So I planned to take 6 months off work and just go traveling around to Southeast Asia with all the money that I'd saved. And this was a huge priority for me, and travel still is a huge priority. I just don't think there's anything more enjoyable or more useful than expanding your horizons, meeting new people, experiencing new cultures. I was afraid that I would lose all the skills and strength that I had learnt over the previous years on this trip. But the beauty about calisthenics is that you can do it everywhere. And I actually found that Asia was covered in calisthenics parks. There's calisthenics parks in every city. Even small little villages had random calisthenics parks, way more than in the UK actually. So I was able to keep up the training, and I wasn't training every day. Obviously I had loads of new experiences with different people. I didn't have time to train every day, but I would say I was averaging maybe 2 to 3 times a week. I would actually choose a hostel based on how close it was to a calisthenics park. I know it sounds over the top, but if you want to get your training in, that's what you have to do. And also there's so many hostels to choose from, it helps to narrow it down. And another amazing thing about it is it was such a good way to meet the local people. Instead of just meeting other travellers, other tourists in the hostels, I'd actually spend some time and I would train with locals. And I actually remember a time where I was in a tiny village in the north of Vietnam. I can't remember the name of it, but there was a calisthenics park, and I met a kid who left me a really nice message on Facebook afterwards. He was just saying how he had never seen anyone do calisthenics in real life before. He'd only ever seen it online, and that was a huge motivation for him, and that it really has inspired him to continue training. And this to this day is probably one of the nicest messages I've ever received, and it just really made me happy, made me be grateful to be able to share that with him. And if you're watching this video, thank you so much. I hope you're still training. That comment made my entire trip. And keep training. So I travelled for 6 months. I was training here and there, and as expected, I did lose some strength, I did lose some skills and some size, but that was fine because I had experiences to last a lifetime. I knew that when I got back home, I would get back to training. And then when I got back to the UK, I jumped straight back into training every single day, and things were slow to start, but to be honest, I got back to my peak level within a few weeks. I lost the fat, I gained the muscle again. There's a good video of me doing muscle ups when I first got back to the UK, and as you can see, I'm not as lean, I'm struggling with the muscle ups a little bit, but I hadn't completely lost it. It came back so quickly, and that's the beauty of muscle memory. So even if you take a break from training, if you've already reached a certain level, it's so much easier to get to that level again than starting from scratch. So don't be afraid of losing gains. You'll get it back quickly. So at the same time I was back in London, I was training calisthenics. I had a friend who is still running a parkour coaching business, and he encouraged me to get back into parkour, something that I did as a kid. And I'm so grateful that he did, because it just added a whole new dimension to my training. It made me rekindle this love for parkour, which I had as a child, and I continue to train parkour to this day. I would love to go more into how much parkour has helped my training, helped me enjoy my life more, but I want to save that for another video, so wait till next time. Make sure you subscribe if you want to catch that one. So after being in the UK for about 6 months or so, back from traveling, I was working not full time, but quite a lot of the time, still training every day, but I really want to get back out traveling. And at the time I had a friend who was working in Australia. He went to the same university as me, and he was basically telling me how amazing it was to live and work as a doctor in Australia. So I thought I'd give it a shot, and I decided to come here. And this was around the same time COVID was ramping up, so it was actually very difficult and stressful getting into Australia, but I made it eventually, and now I'm here. So I flew to Brisbane roughly May 2020, so nearly 2 years ago now, and I was very blessed to find that there was calisthenics parks everywhere. Brisbane, or probably Australia in general, just have loads of calisthenics parks. I assume because the weather's better, so people can actually train outdoors. And after a couple of weeks of being here, I met a fantastic calisthenics community, really supportive, really encouraging. I continued learning statics and basic freestyle moves. I made progress with my one-arm chin, made progress with handstands and handstand presses. And at the same time, I found a parkour community within Brisbane that I could train parkour with. Around this time, I also competed in my first pull-up competition, where I managed to get first place, which I'm super proud of. I've actually managed to get first place 2 years in a row, and if you want to see how I managed that, just click on that link in the top hand corner, how I achieved 39 consecutive pull-ups. I also met another athlete who was really into his sets and reps, and he completely changed the way I think about training. I was never really into endurance training before I met him, but after I met him, he made me find the enjoyment of doing reps, doing endurance, and it's changed the way I approach my training, and it's just added a whole new dimension. And endurance training is not really something that I enjoyed previously, but I'm surprised at how satisfying I find it now, and how much my physique has changed because of endurance training. I had a decent physique when I was just training statics, but having that high volume rep work has really allowed me to put on more muscle and burn more fat. So now I'm still working full time here as a doctor. I'm still aiming to train every day. So I don't train every day, but I have the intention to train every day. So even if my life gets too busy and I have these impromptu rest days, I still manage to get all the workouts in that I want to. And even if you're busy, if it's a priority to you, if it's important to you, you will make time to train. So this video was a lot longer than I expected to be, but I really wanted to share my calisthenics journey. I wanted to share how much calisthenics has changed me and how much joy and satisfaction it's given to me in my life. And that's one of the reasons I'm doing this YouTube channel, because I want to share the joy of calisthenics. If you're just beginning, or if you're an experienced calisthenics athlete, I hope you are inspired. I hope you're motivated by my journey. I hope you can continue your training and perform at a high level. And it's a long process, don't get me wrong. This calisthenics journey has taken me years. Even now, I still feel very beginner in some exercises, very beginner in some movements, and I'm continuing to enjoy the process every day. Okay guys, I hope you're enjoying the content. As always, please leave a comment below. Tell me about your calisthenics journeys. And I'm still a small channel, so I have plenty of time to read all of them. So just take this opportunity. If you want some free advice, I'm happy to give any advice, answer any questions about myself or my training. So make sure you hit the like for the algorithm, and make sure you subscribe to the channel for more contemplative fitness content. I'll catch you next time.